Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tom Baker Show on PowerTube TV. It's great to be back with you. This show, as always, sponsored by TrackTune, and you will hear much more about TrackTune throughout the course of the show. But I will tell you that if you are a Tracker Series owner and you want to give your fans the most modern way to hear everything over the PA, even over the sound of the cars, TrackTune allows you to do that, allows them to hear it through any device with a set of headphones. It's great. Okay, we have got, speaking of track owners, we've got Ashly Burnett with us. And Ashly is I'm going to call her the boss. Jeremy may or may not agree, her husband, but I'm going to call her the boss. Ashly is the boss of Millbridge Speedway here in North Carolina, which is located between Mooresville and Salisbury. And I always call Millbridge the little big track. And it is really nationally known now. And this is just going to be a story about a track that literally was rebuilt from nothing to where it is now. Ashly and Jeremy have done a great job. Welcome to the show, Ashly. I've been waiting a while to do this episode with you because I have great respect for what you and Jeremy have done with Millbridge. When I came here to North Carolina, it was, to say the least, well, it was a track in need of some TLC. And you and Jeremy have done a great job with it, running outlaw karts, micro sprints, go-karts. It's just the coolest place to be in the middle of a week in the area here. So I want to start by asking you to go back and tell us, first of all, a little bit about your racing history, your family and all of that, because you and Jeremy both come from families that were involved in the sport, right?
Yeah, we both grew up in the St. Louis area. His family, his brother was more on the asphalt side, and obviously my brother more on the dirt side. So my brother is Nick Hoffman. We grew up in the St. Louis area. My dad, an engine builder, also a race car driver, really well-known race car driver in our area. And then we started to get Nick involved in the quarter midgets in the St. Louis area until we moved here to North Carolina. Jeremy grew up about 30 minutes down the road, more to the St. Louis side of Missouri. I was more in the Illinois side. And he grew up just about the same. His family into go-karts, then into asphalt late models. His brother is Randall Burnett, now a NASCAR crew chief.
So talk a little bit about, first of all, what brought you here to North Carolina?
It was a really funny story. We knew Carl Edwards back home in St. Louis, and Carl wanted to become a NASCAR driver, and my dad wanted to become a NASCAR engine builder. So they literally one weekend jumped in a van together and came to North Carolina, and Carl handed out his famous little, if you need a driver, call me, business cards. And my dad, they literally slept in a parking lot in the van here in North Carolina, just both trying to chase two totally different dreams. And it ended up when Dad came back home, Dad did get a job here, engine building, and Carl had yet to get the call. So he wanted to be here with us. So we moved here, and Carl not long after followed us here so that he was here in Charlotte area. And he lived in our little bonus room for a little bit as soon as we moved here to North Carolina.
Wow. Okay. And we all know where Carl's career went for sure. Yeah. And I mean, at that point in time, did you even have a dream of being a track owner? Was that even a thing for you?
Not at that time. I was still in high school. Obviously, I wanted to be a teacher. So I was kind of going through everything that you could in high school to become a teacher. And funny story was when me and my dad were driving down 150 one day. I don't even know what year it would have been. Millbridge, I had seen off the side of the road. It was very grown up, and it might have even had a for sale. You could tell it was not running at the time.
Right. Not
And
active.
I had told my dad, I said, we should buy a racetrack. And he said, no, that's way too much. We don't have enough time, and it's a lot of work. And so it's funny that I remember that story and how the circle had brought me back to Millbridge. But no, I wanted to be in racing. But obviously there's not, I mean, PR, I kind of went that way a little bit after high school, and did a little PR work, for a couple people. But it really didn't come, even when we first got Millbridge, it didn't even come about that I wanted to be a promoter, until we really got involved in it.
So you drive by it in high school and make the suggestion to your dad. So how many years goes by before you now own the racetrack?
Probably 5-6 years.
Wow.
The story with Millbridge was we, us with Kyle Beatty and SKE chassis, we kind of, we were doing a tour with the outlaw carts. At the time, it was only a couple classes, a couple cars. We'd go to a lot of local tracks, and Millbridge was one of our tracks. And It just so happened it was our favorite track to go to. And the promoter decided at the middle of the season that he didn't want to do it anymore. And obviously, without a promoter, it was going to be closed again. And we really wanted to keep Millbridge on our list of tracks for our season. So Jeremy and two friends, Nick Tucker, you would know that, Peak Shepherd,
Sure.
they went and signed the lease, and I guess the rest is history. But the funny story about that is he didn't even talk to me about it. He just came home and said, hey, we're going to lease a racetrack. And I said, I'm not leasing a racetrack. And he said, yeah, me and Nick and Pete, we already signed the lease. I said, you already signed the lease? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, I'm not working there. And he said, okay, well, we'll do it. And it only took about a couple months for the other friends to realize that it is a lot of work. And then it kind of fell into Jeremy and I's lap. And then I had no choice to have to work.
So you actually, God gave you your wish from high school.
Yes.
You now had a racetrack, but you owned it basically.
Yeah, we leased it. We leased it for a couple years, and then we realized that if we really wanted to put as much work and money into it, obviously the smart way would be to own it. So the owners of the track, Barb and Al, we were really close with them. They're basically our grandparents here in North Carolina. So they wanted us to succeed, and the only way we wanted to do it is if we lived here on property and purchased the track. So they made that possible for us. They wanted to see it continue. Obviously, they didn't want someone to take it over or buy it that's going to mow down the racetrack. They wanted it to stay a racetrack, and they knew with Jeremy and I that we would take care of it and keep it going.
I bet they didn't expect it would be like it is today, though.
No,
and maybe
not at all.
neither did you.
No, I don't think we did. No.
I mean, so when did you officially take the track over?
Our first season was in 2011, and then we purchased in 2014.
So you've been about 12 years, 13 years at it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you started, I'm assuming it sounds like this all just sort of evolved. There really wasn't a vision or a plan or whatever. It just kind of happened. So I'm curious, when you first started, what were your expectations? I mean, what were you thinking about? How far ahead were you thinking? And how did the first year or two go for you? Because I know as any new promoter, there's going to be obviously growing pains and mistakes made and things like that. But how did the first couple of years go?
It was hard. We've obviously both still had jobs, and we couldn't just rely on a racetrack. And it was kind of started out as just fun, so our friends could come and we could still have this racetrack on our schedule. And I figured on that if I'd have 100 people in the gate, I'd bring in enough to pay employees and all of our expenses. But then there was times where I'd walk through and I'd go down to the gate. How many people do I have? 60. So there was a lot of tears and what are we doing? There's no way it's not gonna work. We'd have just a couple classes and I'm talking 4 or 5 cars in each class. I mean, it was horrible, but we wanted to make it work and we knew we could. And it was growing, but obviously it takes a couple years.
Sure.
We started to run the go-kart stuff. There was a lot of rumors that we had taken the track away from the previous promoter. And it took a couple years for the go-karter group to realize that, we're in it for good. And, we didn't do anything to them in the past. So it takes a little bit to get that respect back from everybody and to know that, we're here for the good.
Now, the outlaw carts, as I recall, were a fairly new thing to this area. You're largely responsible for kind of getting them and growing them.
Yeah.
That would have obviously made the process harder, even because it wasn't like you're bringing in the late models where there's already, how many of them in the area.
Yeah.
You're doing something brand new. So, how were you able to sort of manage all that and then build the class? What kinds of things did you do, or how did that happen for you?
Well, the best part of our situation was obviously West Coast is where all of the outlaw carts are at. So Jimmy Elledge was a big part of that. So to have Jimmy Elledge and Kyle Beatty both together, our two main chassis builders here locally, that kind of helped us because we could bounce ideas off of both of them. We basically built our rule book and everything from scratch, really. We wanted to be different and we wanted everything to be ours. So it took a long time to get established and, to get everything done as far as rules. And every year the classes just kept falling in our lap, really. We started out with just the so-called box stock class that we have. Yep. It started out just one class. Now it's mixed into 3. It was just strictly box stock. It didn't matter. I ran it myself. It was basically a class for people that had never drove anything. They wanted girls involved, so they begged the wives and the girlfriends to get in. And Carson Elledge had started with us, so I raced with her. And again, 6 or 7 cars on a weekly basis. And then we'd have the open class. And then we figured that there needed to be a class in between the kids and the box stocks to move into the open. So then we introduced the intermediates, the 125s class in between. And then we realized that when box stocks started getting so big, we needed a beginner class. So then the beginners came about. And then once the beginners came about, there were so many beginners that we needed a place to put the kids that are literally just learning how to mash the gas and learning the flags. So that's when cadets came about.
Okay.
Every year it was we just wanted that stepping stone so that they could go from one class to the other and we could keep them involved and in racing for years, all the way up to adult if they wanted to. So now we have a class cadet, which is literally you start out at age 5 and then you go into beginner box stock, and then there is a junior wing class, which is a bigger motor. And then it moves into, you can go into intermediates, you can go into opens, and then you can work your way all the way up to micros, restricted micros, wing micros, non-wing micros. I can literally have a kid from age 5 all the way up to an adult if they wanted to stay with us.
That's a huge advantage too. And Millbridge Speedway, now the place to go in the middle of the week, and you often see a lot of NASCAR related faces. We're going to get to all of that and more as we continue with Ashly right after this.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Welcome back to the Tom Baker Show on PowerTube TV, presented by TrackTune. Ashly Burnett is our guest, and Ashly is the promoter of Millbridge Speedway here in the Mooresville area of North Carolina. And again, as I mentioned before the break, Millbridge is the place to go in the middle of the week. And Ashly was talking about how the classes sort of evolved in the outlaw carts, which are the main attraction there, or one of the two. They've added micro sprints. And so now, once you get all the classes established, how did we start to see all the NASCAR influence? Because I know that's one of the things people always marvel at, because, you've got drivers, you got Kyle Busch racing a micro there. You've got other drivers' sons, nieces, nephews, whatever. Can you talk a little bit about how all that ended up coming into play and how much fun that is for you every week to kind of have that kind of an all-star atmosphere?
Yeah, I think being midweek really helped us. I mean, when we started out pre-COVID, we were just Wednesday nights, and we were smashing everything into Wednesdays. And again, we still didn't have the car count to be able to do, 2 days a week. And then COVID hit, and we split the nights to try to keep down on attendance for each night. And when we split the nights, we realized after COVID, we could never go back. We were at about 100 on each night. There's no way to. And I think the best thing about, obviously, location, being right down the road from Mooresville, all the teams are right here. I think our location is what really helped us. We get done really early. By 10:30, you're out of there and home. And being a Tuesday, Wednesday, they could come to the track, play around with their family, go home, and still go do their day job, during the weekend. So I think that being right down the road, being done early, I've pushed into all of my employees and people that come as well, that they're there to be with their family just like you. So right. I think a lot of people, it's really cool that, there may be a fan or two that'll walk up, but to us, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, they're just us. So no one bothers them. They could literally sit in the grandstands and watch races and not be bothered. And we don't advertise that they're out here. So, our advertisements are, it doesn't just have come watch NASCAR, it's just generic, just come watch racing. So we don't make a huge deal out of it. It's been great for us. Obviously, when they tweet about it or put it on Facebook, all the social media is great. But we like to just keep it just a family atmosphere. You can come have fun with your family, whether you're somebody famous or not. Just come hang out with your family and have fun. It's a very big family atmosphere, and we're kind of all a big family. I call it the Millbridge family. So, sponsors, fans, I I have a lot of really big Millbridge family. So I think the family atmosphere and that they can come out. A thing that they've been doing a lot too with the micro sprints is Chevy and Toyota will bring their cup drivers out and kind of switch off days for practice days during the week as well. Just that reaction time, with Millbridge so slow and so small, and how big and fast the micro sprints are, it kind of really helps them with reaction time. And they did use it a lot whenever when Cup went to dirt. We were booked up a lot with them, just because a lot of them they've never been on dirt before, so a lot of them threw them in micro sprints, and I think it's a tool that the teams can use as well. Being right down the road, our prices with track rentals are really cheap, so I think they use it as a tool to just kind of stay sharp, and also stay sharp on the dirt as well.
Yeah, and it's always fun watching those guys go out. And you had your invitational there recently, and it was fun to watch Ty Gibbs, who I know has always wanted to run dirt. For the longest time he couldn't, and then finally is now, and it seems like he's just really enjoying himself. And Kyle's racing there, and it's just been fun to see that sort of thing. Let's go back a little bit. I'm curious what some of your early kind of growing pains or challenges that you had when you first bought the track.
Well, mostly just obviously employees is the hardest thing. Just keeping people there. I like to keep the same group of people every year, so everybody knows where they need to be at what time. When you take over a racetrack like we did, when we took over the racetrack, obviously it had been going for years, but not technically. No one has given it TLC and kept it maintained and cleaned. Our biggest challenge when we first got it was just trying to get the sponsorships, because when you're brand new, no one's going to sponsor you. They don't know if you're here for a season or if you're going to be here for 20 years. So it was really hard to get money for anything. And you need that money to put, we put everything that we get right back into the facility. So cleaning everything up, getting it to where our standards, and then every year we just kind of added a little bit every year, big screens, scoreboards, just cleaning up the facility and making it as top notch as we can as what we got, really.
So it was more just sort of bringing the facility up to your standard or where you wanted it that was your biggest challenge early then, it sounds like.
Yeah, so Jeremy and I, one thing about us is when we're not racing, we're at a racetrack. So whether we go and watch my brother race or, we grew up in the Midwest where the dirt tracks they're just top notch. Yeah. So we want to be that. So we'll go to a racetrack, whether it be, we go to Volusia, we go to the Chili Bowl, we go to Eldora for all the big dream in the world. So to sit back in the grandstands and just see what works and what doesn't work, or what we can implement with our small track. We like to go to different places and see what other people are doing. And we're literally at a racetrack probably 7 days a week. So we really want to see what everybody's doing, put what we can into our facility, try to make it as best as we can compared to what all the big tracks are doing.
And when I think about your sort of addition of the micros, I remember back several years, I was doing some announcing for you on Saturdays when you first started having the micros there, and you had a small group of them. And we talked about what a cool idea this would be and how it would be a cool addition. And it was great to see that evolve and become what it is now. But what was your thinking in terms of timing and, okay, because it wasn't an immediate thing, you sort of built it slowly. Take us kind of through that process of, okay, we're at a point with the outlaw carts where we can add the micros, or we can add the DNQs, the go-kart group, which, as you said, kind of came back to you. Talk about the evolution of that, because that all didn't happen at once. I feel like your growth has been, not really huge. It's been just a steady growth in terms of all that. What was your thinking behind that? Because I think promoters can learn from that.
So obviously when we started, we're not a go-kart track. So the biggest thing about us is everybody says, well, why don't you run a go-kart night? Well, I'm not a promoter that runs 20 classes. I'm a promoter that runs 4 classes that have 4 B mains, and you're done by 11 o'clock. I'm not one that does practice for 2 hours, then you qualify for an hour. Then I don't do that. So we've always said that we wait until a class is, there's so many people that come to us. Why don't you have this class? Well, why don't you have this class? Okay, well, if it's not a class that has a B main already, there's no reason we're not splitting it up. There's no reason to cut it in half. If, we're not here to have 10 classes. Right. So we beefed up the box stocks and then found the need for a beginner. We beefed up the beginners to find the need for the cadets. And then the outlaw carts, the opens were doing really well, and they kind of started to fall off a little. And we seen that they were falling off, and we needed something to replace them quickly. So that's why we kind of pushed the micro thing, because we could see that the opens were falling off. We said, let's take a break from the opens. Let's push this micro sprint thing. And once we pushed the micro sprint thing, and now it's succeeding, now this year we started to bring the opens back, and it's catching on a little bit quicker than what we, obviously we don't have our 20 and 30 cars like we had when we first had opens, but the races that we did have, we were pretty happy with. So you you can't just go in it and be in it and say, I'm going to have 20 classes just so that I can have 100 people in the gate. We're the opposite. I would rather have less classes and have more of a better race, less people, than the opposite. I do not, nobody likes to go to a racetrack and be there all day long. Yeah. Not one. We've gotten a lot of kids that have switched over from go-karts from being at the racetrack too long or having to prep tires. And we're 100% no prep racetrack. Our go-kart series is no prep. The box stocks, all the kids' stuff's no prep. And we take tire. We're very strict on that. We take tires. I think the last race, the box stocks and that, we took 4 tire samples. Wow. And to those, that's $100 every time you cut it. It's $100 out of the promoter. Obviously out of our pocket, nobody pays for that. So, but we're so strict on it that we make sure that there's no prep at all. So, the micro sprints with our big race that we had the other week, the winner, we cut their tires. So, just everybody switching over, they've realized that on a Tuesday night, we have 4 classes. Every class has a B main. The cadets, the cadets are the ones that are brand new, that they don't even know which way they're going. So we like to cut them down into smaller. So sometimes the cadets will have a C, a B, and an A, and then everyone else will have a B main. We can start at 6:15, qualify 100 cars, heat race 100 cars, B's and A's for 4 classes, and by 10 o'clock we're out of there. So it's like my brain hurts at the end of the night. Things happen very quickly. Yeah. But everyone they know that if your race is going out on the racetrack and you're not in staging, you just might as well just not even come, because you're going to miss it. I don't sit and call people's name to get to staging. If your race is on the racetrack, you better be on the racetrack. So I think people they're just tired of staying there all day long. They're tired of the multiple race the multiple classes. We even tried it when we did our we had a flat cart Friday. All the go-karts wanted to run. So I did a flat cart Friday, and we went about four months probably. We said, here's your classes. If you don't average 6 cars in these classes by a certain date, your class gets deleted off the schedule. And that's what we did. If you did not average 6 cars for so many months, the rest of the season, your class didn't run. So we like to beef up a class before we add a class. And so we kind of seen that we were losing kind of connection with the opens. So we brought the micros, we focus on one class at a time. We don't come out and say we're going to add 3 classes this year. We like to beef one up. The next year we'll revisit and where are we missing, where are we losing people, and see what we can put in place of that.
And we'll be back with more of Ashly Burnett from Millbridge Speedway right after this.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Welcome back to the Tom Baker Show. Ashly Burnett is our guest this evening. Ashly is the promoter of Millbridge Speedway here in Mooresville, North Carolina, between Mooresville and Salisbury, right on 150. Can't miss it. You mentioned in the last segment about how the open carts, the open outlaw cart division, it peaked and then it started to fall off. What do you attribute that to? Because I was a little surprised to see that happening.
I think a lot of it was the price of them. The motors started to get out of hand, and it just kind of got out of hand really quickly. And by the time we could catch it and bring it back, it was just pretty much done. So that was a big part of it. And we are finding out a lot of people were leaving it to go to other things. Okay. So we just figured that, obviously you can only run a cart for so long and then you want to move on to something bigger, which is understandable. So that's why we figured the micros were going to be a pretty good addition there.
Sure. Yeah, because that kind of became that next step, right?
Yeah.
So you were able to provide that. Now you brought the opens back. What are you seeing in terms of interest in the opens, and where now, because I know that you might say the market is about the same between the opens and the micros. Where are the opens fitting in, do you think, now, and what will make them successful again?
Yeah, I think if we just stick with it, if we show our commitment to them that, next season, like this season, they only had a select number of days. I think if we kind of add a little bit next year, just to kind of show them, Jeremy's in the works of maybe trying to do another big open race like we used to do. I think that'll be, this year's going to kind of make it or break it. If we show the commitment to it, we feel that, a lot of people want to race at Millbridge, but they don't maybe have the money for a micro, or maybe the experience to be out in a micro. So it is a class that we really do need. The intermediates, that's great as well. But someone coming in that's a little older, they might want to run, the open class instead of jumping into a micro. So it is a class that we need. So we are excited to kind of build it back up and make it what it was.
It's been interesting for me over the years that I've been here, and since you all have been running, to see how the growth of the classes has taken place, but then also, as you mentioned, to see how there have been so many drivers that have gone from Millbridge Speedway to go do other bigger things, whether it's in NASCAR or elsewhere. Talk a little bit about what you see with all of that, and maybe how you see the karts and, of course, now the micros being a part of a driver development path, if you will, as compared to, say, the legends or, other types of cars. What do you feel like the advantages and disadvantages?
Yeah, honestly, I think, I had a lot of them from the beginning, but I think the opens is what really contributed to that. If you ask the Quapple boys, they'll tell you that an open was the hardest thing they've ever drove in their life. So I think that if you can handle an open kart running the wall at Millbridge Speedway, I think that it kind of opens the door to be successful in pretty much anything. Both of the Quapples, they started out in, what would have been box stock, beginner box stock. Ethan Mitchell, same. Max McLaughlin, same. Yep. All these kids, I actually did have Ty Gibbs when he first started. He was in a box stock and then, obviously lost him for a little bit there. So technically, I say they're my kids. Technically, he is one of my children. I think the open karts is what really contributes. Obviously, now a micro is about the same, but the opens it's a different animal. So if you're not all the way 100% on the wall in qualifying, you're off. So that kind of reaction and between the micros and the opens, if you can run around there right on the fence, it's pretty much setting you up for anything that you want to drive.
And talk a little bit about preparing the track too. And I know obviously probably Jeremy would be the person to talk to, but you of course are a part of it as well. But what with the track prep, because people complain about dust or whatever, too dry, not dry enough, whatever the different conditions. What is your sort of feeling about the way that you like to see the track prep there, and what is your goals with that in order to kind of keep the fan experience nice, but also, of course, make it good for the racers too, because those are often conflicting, I feel like.
It's the hardest. Yeah. So going back to your question earlier about what was the biggest challenge, the biggest challenge was really track prep, because we're not farmers.
Right.
We didn't have equipment. We didn't know how to run equipment. We're from St. Louis. So when we first took over, we'd have a tractor here, and then we found out that we needed a grader, so then we bought a grader. So obviously we're in a really good position now. Jeremy's learned a lot. We have a lot of people that we lean on and ask questions to. I think he's one of the best in the business. I'm not just saying that because he's sitting right over here in the same room as me. But if you can prep a go-kart track for go-karts, you can prep a track for anything. Because it has got to be smooth from top to bottom. When you get a big car on there, even the micro sprints, he still makes sure it's 100% for the micro sprints. But if you go to any of the big tracks, even Eldora or anything with the big cars, every one of them's got holes and ruts and the rough, and he preps it to where there's not a hole on the racetrack. So if you can prep a go-kart track for a go-kart race, you can do anything. So the biggest thing with us is obviously the red clay sucks. We hate it. We're from the Midwest. Yeah. We want brown, black dirt, period. We hate the red clay. We've come to realize that there is no way to make red clay not dusty. It's just not possible. people don't understand that. They don't understand that there's different types of dirt. They see the color and they're like, oh, it's just a different color. No, there is just no possible way to make red clay. It doesn't get dry slick. There's no like dry slick racing without the dust. I mean, it's just, you just got to get over it. Which shows as well, if you go to any of the big dirt tracks here in our area, they're all the same. It's just the product that you're dealing with. We've all tried different things. We've all leaned on each other to try different things to put in our water. It's just impossible. So it sucks. I don't want fans to come and the World Finals dealt with the same thing when people get online and bash them about it being dusty. There's just nothing they can do. Literally, there is nothing they can do. If you see a really good race, you have to just be happy that you've seen a good product race, even if you're a little dusty at the end. That's just how North Carolina dirt is. So it's tough for us because everybody complains, oh, bring out more water. Well, that is not going to do anything. You can put water and water and water and water on that racetrack all day long, and when you get to the end, it's going to be dusty. Does not matter. So I think a lot of tracks, you just got to accept it. As long as I just want to give a good product of a race to fans. If the race is good, I don't really care if it's dusty. They can get over it. Now, obviously, they're not going to get over it if it's one lane on the bottom and dusty. So he does a great job at putting on a really good race, passing front to back. I mean, slide jobs every corner. I think when the fans come and see that, they forget that they're dusty. So I think it's really, what he's done and learned. I mean, he's learned everything himself. So, I mean, obviously, like I said, we have a lot of people back in the Midwest that we can bounce ideas off of, but the dirt is just so different that you have to learn your dirt. People don't understand that humidity, any kind of rain, any kind of sun, any kind of wind, you have to take all of that into consideration.
Yep.
And it just kills me to see people get online and bash racetracks for track prep. There's so many different variables that come into it that they don't know about. So unless you are somebody that preps a racetrack, you can't really say much about it. People just really, it just, the social media stuff is just killer with track prep. Yeah. And we hear it every night, like, did you not put enough water on it? Or, man, it is dusty tonight. Well, it is what it is. He works on it day in and day out. Our track has probably worked more than any racetrack in the nation. We do track rentals every day of the week, sometimes twice a day. So literally there is a race car on our racetrack 7 days a week, and I book up about a month or two in advance. If you ask me, it would be after Thanksgiving before you can get on the racetrack. So moisture is there. Our track gets moisture every day because we are on it every day, watering it, getting it ready for a track rental. So it's just a lot of people need to take in consideration of what that track has dealt with for that day. I mean, just a little bit of wind makes a big difference on a racetrack.
Yeah, it sure does. And like you said, temperature variance, all of that matters. Humidity would all play a part in that. You run a really tight ship when it comes to the actual race operation while the race is going on, the race directing, the race control. In about 2 minutes, give us your philosophy on that.
Well, our biggest thing is obviously running on Tuesday and Wednesday. We're a little bit different. We have to get done early. Especially Tuesday, you got that mom that's going, we got school in the morning. So we give ourselves, we always say 10 o'clock. And literally no matter what we do, it's always 10 o'clock on the dot. So we've literally got it down to a science to where, and it also comes down to my employees, like my infield workers and my grid guys. They literally know, people know me before I even ask the question. So like when we checkered one race, the pace mule comes on the front straightaway while it's exiting. The pace mule's on the front straightaway, and the grid guys are rolling that. Like everybody has they know exactly what needs to be happening at every time. So we stop for the national anthem, and that's literally it. It kills me. People say, well, why don't you run juice boxes, or why don't you run this? Well, when? Well, intermission. I haven't had an intermission in 10 years. So I don't know what, we don't have that. So it's literally non-stop action on the racetrack.
Yes,
We
yes.
stop, let people do victory lane, take pictures. Even then I'm saying, all right, tell them to wrap it up, and national anthem, and that's it. So racing on Tuesday and Wednesday, we found that we have to speed things up. The race receiver has sped things up 100%. I mean, just, we make it to where it's mandatory. So if I find you out when you're off the racetrack, and immediate DQ, that's how important they are. So having a race receiver, I'm on the race receiver. Jeremy does the scoring so that all calls are made from me and Jeremy. That's it. There's not somebody that we're hired up there that makes calls. We call every single thing. Anything that, a lot of racetracks lean on the flagman a lot, and we want to be called for everything. So if there is a mistake or whatever, they come to us. There's no one, we don't blame anybody. We don't put calls on people. It's on me and him, and that's it.
That's the way to do it. Back with more of Ashly Burnett right after this.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the show. Ashly Burnett is our guest. We've really enjoyed talking with Ashly. She is a tremendous promoter. Her and her husband, Jeremy, do a great job at Millbridge Speedway. It truly is a what I would call a mini palace. I mean, it is literally a beautiful facility now. And the thing that I really have enjoyed watching is the way that you guys pay attention to detail. So you eventually got the big sign with a race car on it, as you're coming in the gate up the road. You've got, and in the concession, again, the building, the way that you've built that out and made it so nice. And even some of the food, you've got some, the infamous walking taco, for example, one of the big delicacies at Millbridge. It's kind of like a midweek family reunion and a midweek throwdown all at the same time. Talk a little bit about the attention to detail that you guys have given the place, just as you say, to keep adding things to it. You've got LED lights around now. Talk a little bit about how all that's come about for you.
Yeah, every year we kind of give ourselves one project. Whether it be a small project or most of my projects are big projects, but we sell billboards, and I'm very proud to say that Jeremy and I are the only ones. I don't have a marketing company. We sell every single billboard, and we sell out every year. So we take all that money and we say, okay, we have this much money. What can we do? And literally almost probably 90 to 100% of that money goes right back into any project that we have going on. Obviously, we've renovated all of the tower and the concession stand. So this year we hope to renovate bathrooms. That's been one of my big ones on the list was let's make the bathrooms a little bit nicer. The grandstands, we need a little bit of work on the front straightaway. Obviously, this stuff has been there. It's concrete that's been there for multiple years.
Yeah.
I mean, 30, 40 years.
Decades, yeah.
So obviously things break and we fix, but we're really good at, this is both of our full-time jobs. We live on property and we both work at the track. Right before I got on with you, I was up packing the track for a track rental. So we kind of switch off to help each other with track rentals and watering the track. I'll get in the water truck, water it down for them, and get it ready for a track rental. But every year we just try to find something more to do. The big screen, we had a friend from California that found the big screen. It was a used big screen, and he flew down from California and helped us put it together and put it up. We've done the scoreboard one year. The lights, Musco had come to us, and they do a program to where they help out local football, baseball, little leagues. And he's big into racing. And he said, I feel like you're like the little league of racing. So they helped us out with getting the lights up in a program with Musco. So every year, that was our last year's big project, was the new Musco lighting. So every year, I know I'm going to eventually kind of run out. Obviously, with everything that we got going on with the county, we got a lot of eyes on us, so we kind of have to be careful with what we kind of do. So we're more in just the renovating. We're not allowed to add anything, so we kind of just like to just kind of polish things up. Just make it look a little bit nicer, to do the best that we can to bring that experience to everybody that comes.
How do you find the energy to do 2 to 3 nights a week? Because it seems like you've got the go-karts, you've got, your outlaw carts, you got the micros. How do you find the energy to do all of this?
Yeah, it's hard, especially in the middle of summer. There is a couple of days where D&Q will like hop in on a Monday, and it'll be like a D&Q Monday and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. That's what's tough, because I don't like to order food and have it delivered for our concession stand. I like everything to be fresh for that week. So I also will go out and do all the shopping for the racetrack, for the concession stand. And obviously that feeds, if we're a 4-night a week, we're almost at 2,000-3,000 people a week when we have a full week like that. So lots of trips to the store. He'll get up in the morning and do a little. I think the best thing is that we live right here on property. So He can go up, do a little bit on the track, and we go to lunch together and then go back up there. I'll go on and do my stuff. So it's basically just a schedule nonstop. I mean, our life is a schedule. So we know what needs to be done on race days. Everybody knows where they need to be on race days. So we have a great group of people that come and help us when we need help. But also on race days, everybody knows their jobs, and you don't even have to say anything. They just come, grab what they need to grab, and go. So they know what is expected out of each one of them. So it's just scheduling and it's nonstop, really. Not a lot of sleep.
It's a passion and a love is what it is. Yes. It has to be in order to give that kind of hours and give so much of yourself to it. You've got a young son. I've been waiting for Mason to become the next big star at Millbridge, but it seems like maybe he's got other things he likes to do. Talk a little bit about that. And I heard his name mentioned as kind of somebody who I think Mason's picks or whatever for the most recent invitational. How is that working out for you, and how happy are you that maybe he isn't wanting to be the next racing star?
Yeah, Mason I think that he loves racing. I mean, he goes with us everywhere, and he's getting more involved when we go to Nick's races. He'll take the tires off, and he's wanting to learn more about the race car. But I think here at Millbridge, it's just not special for him to go to the racetrack. I mean, he lives here. He's there every day. He just wants to play with his friends. So it was really cool with him growing up that, he would bring bicycles and scooters up to the track, and the kids know that when they hop out of the truck, they can hop on a bicycle or a scooter and take off. And it's Mason's that he just leaves up there for everybody to play with. So he's grown around it. He has no desire. I mean, there's people that has seen him. We go to Victory. He loves going to Victory Lane karting and rips laps on there and beats kids that are in our box stock class. But, and he'll get on iRacing. And I mean, it's just, he's really talented, but he wants nothing to do with it. And I'm here for it. Whatever he decides to do, he's gotten more involved in media. He started hustling his friends with filming them on race day and making $10, $20 on race days. So I think a camera is in our future.
Oh boy. There you go. Well, you got your own video director that you're raising there. That's pretty cool. And a way for him to make money from the sport as opposed to spending it. Even though video is kind of expensive, it's not even close to the cost of a race car. So
I'm for it.
Okay. What is when you think about the future at Millbridge? I mean, obviously I don't want you to give away any secrets of anything you might have coming you don't want to talk about yet, but I mean, just what are the things that you'd like to do? Maybe some things you've thought about that you'd like to try, or just different things with regard to what can we expect down the road?
Yeah, we're really excited that we announced next year the Extreme Outlaw Midget Series is it's gonna be we're gonna kind of be combined with the World Finals. So that's something that's really big coming next year. I think that's gonna be a really, really big race for us. To actually we've always been on the week of World Finals, but I've always felt like I was kind of piggybacking off of it, and to now be a part of it is a really big deal for us. They actually brought us up on stage at the World Finals and let us talk about the race. So that was really neat to be kind of a part of that. We've obviously Charlotte and the World Finals we go every year and every single day. So it's really neat to be a part of that. I think this year is more going to be kind of just continuing on what we did last year. Everything's growing still. And also maybe push the open carts to try to beef them up this year, maybe have a couple big races for them as well. We kind of just take one year at a time. Eventually we're probably going to get old to where we're going to want to slow down, but I mean, we want to slow down right now, but we just keep on doing what we're doing. I mean, if we're successful, there's no reason to change anything. So just keep on loving on all the little kids. That's my job. And Jeremy deals with the micro sprint guys, and all's right in the world.
And it's got to be a balance, because again, you get parents involved, and it does become like Little League sometimes. In that sense, they get over exuberant, and then they want to complain or whatever, make a scene. But I feel like for the most part, you guys have always handled that so professionally and so well. Give us a minute or two about how you deal with all that sort of adversity.
There was times I remember before that I would come home and just cry because I just didn't understand it. I would be upset that somebody would post something about me online, or and I would delete Facebook, and I don't know if it's older age or honestly I don't care anymore, really. I mean, if you have 100 cars and 3 people are calling you names and telling you that you're a horrible person,
it's a good night.
Let's not care about them 3 people. Let's care about the 90 plus that loves being there. So there's miserable people everywhere. So I always tell people in drivers meetings that there's going to be rules that are not going to go your way, but then the next week they're going to go your way. So we have strict rules. Everyone knows you follow them rules or you don't come back. So I've there's been, I mean, I really don't have many fights because they know that if they fight, they sit out. I've done that just a couple times this year, which is great to have so many teams and race as much as we do. And I've probably only had maybe 4 or 5 problems all year long. So getting to where they respect us. I know a lot of people, they don't like me, and I'm fine with that. I always tell them, as long as their kids like me, I don't really care. If the kids are having fun and they're learning the sport of racing, then I'm happy. Everything else doesn't matter to me. So I'm doing what initially you had asked, what I wanted to be a teacher to little kids, and I was in love with racing. So my life is just amazing because I do all that. I teach my little kids racing. I teach them how they need, obviously how to race, sportsmanship, everything. So it is hard to hear some things. This past week, I had some things on Twitter about me personally, and they're nobody to me. They're not anybody that comes weekly. Doesn't matter to me. So it doesn't bother me much anymore. We just keep our head down, keep going. As there is a lot of people that believe in everything that we do, and our Millbridge family is very big and very strong, and they stand behind us no matter what. So that's all that matters to me.
Ashly Burnett, it has been a true pleasure to have you on the show tonight, and look forward to doing more shows with you coming up. Everyone go to millbridgespeedway.com. Follow Millbridge Speedway on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, everywhere that it is, and show up and watch a race. And oh, by the way, if you can't, it's on Dirt Vision every week. So go check it out. Again, thanks to Ashly for being on. For more great content, if you like this show, we got more content at steeringwheelnation.com. Also on our streaming page right here on the PowerTube TV platform. Until next time, for everyone at TrackTune and for Ashly and everyone at Millbridge Speedway, thanks for checking us out. I'm Tom Baker. So long.